So we are back right now, Greg and Dana's house, and we're still working on the Crone documentary. This is some of the last stuff that we have to shoot while we're out here in the Ohio area near Cincinnati, trying to finish up the stuff that we need to shoot with Greg and Dana. What we're here shooting right now is a little bit of B-roll for the documentary. And so we need some footage of Greg kind of doing his thing, kind of doing his job. We've got some really gorgeous B-roll footage of Strand when we introduce him, Tyler Strand. And then Dana as well, we shot earlier where she was actually out in the back, and we got some really cool stuff of her kind of practicing her witchcraft. So today we need some shots for Greg for his introduction, and so we're shooting it down at the basement here. And so what I want to do is take you guys through it with the premise of just like, we need some footage of Greg doing his thing. We want it to look pretty. Where's my head at? What's my thought process? How do I get those shots? So the first thing that I'm doing right now is we're basically just kind of ironing out the details and getting an idea of the shots. If you're shooting a scene like this, one of the things that you really want to focus on is getting a variety of different shots. And the most simple way that you can do that is just think right off the bat, you want wide, medium, and close-up shots and a variety thereof. And that's going to give you enough coverage to help get the audience to understand what the scene is, where it's taking place. And so the first thing that I'll do is I'll kind of start to look at the lighting and how it's reading on the camera. In this particular instance, we're being lit with a single source here, this lamp, and we also have a lot of light coming in through the window outside. I like to strip down the lighting to be as simple as possible when I start shooting at a place that could have a lot of practical lights. We have overhead lights down here, but we don't want to turn those on because they're kind of boring and flat. So whenever possible, I like to try to shoot with just one single light source because that's going to create the most interesting kind of shadows on your subject's face. And one of the tricks is you want to shoot with the light on the far side of your subject's face. This is the most interesting for more dramatic type footage. And so you want to get the light on the opposite side of your subject so that you're getting this nice little light wrap coming around the side and you're shooting into the shadow side. If you shoot on the other side of the face like this, it's a much more flat image. There's not a lot of depth or a lot of mood or drama right here. As you can see, his face is just being lit evenly. But when we move over to this other side, this is a much more interesting, kind of moodier type shot where the shadows are on his side of the face. And so in that regard, I'm just kind of looking at composition, where the light placement is, what the background is, how the light is falling on the subject, and how we can make that look good. All right, so then one of the things that I like to do is just kind of have my subject doing something natural and kind of normal, and I like to just let them do their thing for a little while I'm composing my shot and trying to figure it out. I'm a very naturalistic type shooter in that regard, and I like to spend time looking at the shot and looking at my framing and just letting them do their thing rather than have them sit there waiting for some sort of direction. I find it looks the most natural and it's the easiest to just shoot around while I start to do my thing. So I'm going to start out with kind of some wide shots. I'm going to look at some textures, and I'm going to start punching in on Greg here and moving around him. One of the things that's most important too is getting a lot of depth in your image. Just a simple image of like somebody standing right against a white wall isn't very interesting. It's a very flat image. So the same way that we want that light to kind of come around and wrap from the far side of the face, we want depth in all aspects of the shot. So this is a great setup because we've got a lot of stuff in the foreground, we have our subject in the midground, and we have interesting stuff in the background. So I like to shoot really shallow on the lens, pretty wide open, so we get a nice blurry separation between our subject and these different elements. And then I like to frame it kind of low so we can get a lot of those foreground elements in the shot with Greg here. And so that's why I'm kind of shooting low so we can get these desk elements and some of these packages in the foreground of the shot. Now that we've gotten some medium shots of Greg, a wide shot of Greg, now in my brain I'm kind of like, what's he doing here at this desk? What's he working on? So we're gonna kind of get closer and we're gonna punch in on a little bit more to understand what it is that he's doing in the scene. These are the letters and stuff.
Object letters. Yeah, these are actual letters that were sent to us in some of these packages. Trying to write some notes like we typically do. I've got my camera here so that I can take photos of stuff as I open packages. This is pretty much how it happens when we get stuff. We're in the middle of a move right now, so we had to set up a makeshift office. This is gonna look a little bit different when it's finished, but this is pretty much how it'll go.
Let's have you opening some packages here. I think
Yeah.
that, and then if you're taking notes and stuff on it, we kind of see
Yeah.
what it is. And we don't know what's in these packages either right now, so.
No, these are all actual packages.
This is all genuine. These aren't props. Like, this is all
Yeah.
genuinely how much stuff you guys have gotten, what, in the last couple months?
Yeah, I'd say this stuff from the last 6 to 8 weeks, probably.
Crazy.
So some of it, I mean, most of it is not going to be haunted. A lot of it was just museum artifacts, but I think there are a few allegedly haunted items. So this one.
So Greg's doing stuff right now, and I just saw that, and I was like, that's a good moment that's happening. So I'm just gonna shoot him as he looks through some of these objects. I like to shoot at interesting angles, so I like to shoot really down low, because I find in a lot of reality TV shows and stuff, the camera's always at eye level. And I feel like you're really used to seeing the world at eye level, and that's not a very interesting angle for me. So I love to cradle the camera down at waist level and shoot up a little bit, because it makes an interesting angle on the scene that's unfolding. Now sometimes it's not always the most flattering to shoot, up at somebody's chin that way, so you have to be selective about when you use it. But it's really cool to like get interesting angles on a scene that you might normally just see standing looking at him. I don't like that. So shooting low, moving high, there's a lot of different ways to get interesting shots. So at this point, I've been getting a lot of handheld shots, and I thought it might be kind of nice to get a little bit of stable, locked off shots. Shots like this could be kind of fun because when they're really stable, symmetry gets to be more fun. I feel like handheld asymmetry, rule of thirds is cool. Locked off tripod, I feel like there's more room to just like really hold on a symmetrical shot. And so we've got this desk in the middle with these leading lines going towards the middle of the frame, and Greg sitting there. Could be a cool opportunity to get a really symmetrical kind of establishing shot of Greg here. So we're gonna switch over to sticks. So here I'm framing up a nice wide shot of Greg, but a wide shot of just here, it's kind of empty and a little bit more flat and boring. So you can slide stuff into your foreground, both to add that interesting depth, but also add sort of a almost creepy voyeuristic feel where it's like there's something watching him from behind this wall here, which in a scary documentary like we're shooting, it's kind of like a fun vibe to introduce every so often. This guy gets toasty, doesn't it?
Warm one. So sometimes you just kind of discover stuff
where I was just moving back to see if a wider shot would look good, and I was like, oh, maybe it'd be cool to do sort of a slow push in. You know, for a shot like this, you could use a gimbal or a slider. I don't have those. I don't want to set all that up just for like one shot. So shooting in slow-mo, just very steady, just trying to get a couple of different takes, just pulling out and away. And between the slow-mo and warp stabilizer and post, one of these takes could be pretty usable. All right, let's have you turn off the lamp and kind of walk away. Yeah, we just filled up on storage too. Everything else has been in slow-mo, so I don't want to go to real time for this. Let me just grab a different memory card real quick.
Cool.
Of course, the last shot. So close.
Tell me your dirtiest secret.
Sometimes I poop.
Alright, let's try it. Go ahead. Right. This is one of the reasons why I love just shooting and shooting and shooting. Like, I just needed a shot of Greg coming in and turning a light on. But I was like, I'll keep rolling with it. I moved over here and I got this excellent shot of like the lamp in the foreground looking really cool and glowy and Greg working. I didn't have that shot yet. So it's like, just keep playing around and moving around and just seeing what the different compositions look, putting stuff in the foreground, racking your focus. Just play around, and when you see it, if you've watched enough good quality stuff, you'll start to know. And that's how you shoot B-roll for a documentary. At least, how I do.
Nice work.
Not bad.
Cool.
So that is it. I hope that gave you guys a bit of a glimpse into how I go about that process, what I'm thinking of, how I'm composing the different shots, and maybe even gives you guys some tools to work with as you're trying to shoot some of your own B-roll or some of your own footage as you're working on whatever project you might be working on. But I wanted to just start at the basics. If you have a camera in your hands, if the exposure looks good, how do you go about shooting something that looks cinematic, if you will, but also just like looks like a good high quality? We've got a little guest right here. Gordy, you're on a YouTube channel. What do you have to say about all this? That's what Gordon has to say about all this. That's all I got for you guys though. This kind of wraps it up. I'm gonna be heading out of Cincinnati here tomorrow or the next day or so. I heard your guys' comments on the first couple of videos about wanting to see more basics about like how to figure out your camera systems. So I'm gonna be talking about that a lot more, get a little bit more technical with it. But for now, you've got a little bit of a grasp on if you got a camera in your hands, you're trying to shoot some video, you can maybe start to get some pretty decent shots. So that's all for me. Remember to do the like, sub, Instagram, Twitter thing, whatever you want. Gordy, you have anything to say? He says goodbye. See you guys.